Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Mood Mayhem. I'm your host today. Again, Chase Morgan Gilwood is out, but I'm Donnie Shields, joined once again by Matt Hummel.
All right.
How are you doing tonight?
Pretty good.
Very good. So, after a long day of disc golf, in which we both shot terribly, may I remind you, of a Hickory Run course. In case you've never been to Pennsylvania, Hickory Run, I actually say is a beautiful course, to be honest with you. Do you like?
No, it is. It really is.
It really is. There will be a lot of more content of even disc golf here on the Shooter Club channel moving forward. I know that's a bigger announcement because it's like, well, you know, what do we have in common with movies? Well, it's entertainment. So we're going to be doing different sporting events as well. And as you guys have checked out in the past, we've also had miniature highlights of our disc golf event that takes place every year. This year's, we actually already hosted it, so you guys will get kind of sneak peeks or like recap videos per se on how that's going here within the next month or two. Matt Hummel, I guess today's topic, and it's going to be more of a brief thing because I know we got a bunch of business to attend to, including possibly filming, if not finishing, Matt Hummel's film, Infliction.
That'll never happen at this rate.
It'll never happen, he says. Which, with that attitude, I guess that's also true.
I do want it to happen.
What's a topic that you want to lead with today?
All right. So, you ever watch the movie Coraline?
I have not.
Really? You haven't?
No.
Okay, that's kind of a shocker. That might be a little tricky here. So, movie that came out in 2009, all right, adapted from the book. The book was meant to be a children's book, and it was surprisingly, like, really scary. And they adapted it to the movies, and it's a stop-motion movie. So, think Nightmare Before Christmas, like that animation style, or even Paranorman. Maybe that's a newer one that you would recognize. But basically, it captures that scary story really, really well and does its own thing. Really good movie. Really recommend you watching it. And to anyone else watching, please do. But long story short, it's returning to theaters August 14th to 15th for a 2-day event. And it's by Studio Leica. And they're known for doing stop-motion movies like that. And it's beautifully well done. And it's also kind of article here. The stop-motion animated classic is back to give a new generation of audiences nightmares as Leica Studios has announced via Twitter that Coraline is returning to the big screen this summer. With tickets now available for pre-order, screening will be hosted by Phantom Events for 2 nights only on August 14th and 15th, as I already said. Alongside the film's return to the big screen, this screening will also feature an exclusive behind-the-scenes look at the making of the movie, never before seen from Leica's archives, which will showcase the craft and talent that goes into the production of a stop-motion animated project. It goes without saying that the effort put into the film has paid off, as Coraline remains as one of the most acclaimed animated films of its decade, with praise for its dark imagery and scary plotline attributed to Nightmare Before Christmas. Director Henry, and I apologize if I butcher your name, Selick, his craft behind the camera. Now, with the movie returning to theaters, there's no greater opportunity for fans to revisit the animated classic than on the big screen. And I'll just leave off there and let you digest what I just said.
So that was a film that you grew up with?
Yeah. It's actually one that I believe, I did. I saw it in theaters. And then it was always on, like, I don't know if it was on, I don't know if it was on Disney XD, but I'm going to go with it and say it was on. But one of those stations as a kid, it wasn't Cartoon Network, I don't think. Maybe it was, but either way, it was on Dish Network. So I had, a bunch of channels, and I would just watch it on there when it come on, reruns. And it was great. It was a good movie. But it's weird because it's like that movie is truly, like, if there's a genre for, like, scary movies for kids and for family, like, that is definitely it. And it's to the point where it's like you watch that movie and you're like, how is this PG? It's PG, I believe. But you're like, how is PG? Because it pushes that boundary. Like, it's still kid friendly, but it just breaks and like completely gets away from the whole grading system on its own. And like, if you want me, I can go into like a little bit of spoilers for it, but I can give you the basic concept of what it actually is.
I mean, you don't have to, but you can definitely overlay the basic concept. But I will ask you though, what draws you specifically into stop motion? Because somebody like me, now stop motion is a work of art, because if you're going to talk about a true work of art, like, how like back in the days of 2D animation, back when they were really starting off these studios, like Walt Disney would do the same thing, how they would sketch like every little scene by scene on paper. Like,
right.
Like that, send that motion and bring that to life. Of course, we have a lot better now in the film industry where we can actually like do things that are like a little bit easier and save and stuff like that with different drafts. But what got you into stop motion as far as like liking that as a form of like, you know, people have the niche like anime. People like anime, people like stop motion. I personally don't like either of those two categories. I think sometimes stop motion, even though I respect it, can be boring and like weird looking.
It's rough to watch, and honestly, you could totally make a segue towards. So we mentioned the last one, Spider-Verse movies, because that's also has that choppiness that you would find. It's not stop motion, truthfully, but it has that same art style, we'll call it. And so does the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, Mutant Mayhem, and also Puss in Boots has it. It's not. They have like a more advanced and farther along in development kind of stop motion, but this stop motion, I would say, it stands out, and it really. It's almost like imagine a slideshow, and like you're being like, you know, like obviously you know how video is like it's just pictures. That's just the concept behind it. It's more frames and it allows you to view it as if real life. With these movies, it's literally like you're getting like a picture after picture, and it's like you see it play out, and it's like really cool to see that because you're like, wow, like this is it's like I have a camera and I'm just constantly going and catching these moments, and it's really cool. And then you look into it and you're like, wow, there's a lot that goes behind these movies, and they take time to make because they have to do each and every movement and angle just to get it to capture a scene. Just a simple scene might take like 30 minutes to do or something. I don't know if that's an actual number. I'm just throwing that out there. So
You're not an expert?
no, definitely not.
We gotta replace him.
Oh damn.
No, but it's just curious to me because even Nightmare Before Christmas. Now I have never seen the full Nightmare Before Christmas either. I know a lot of people are like, "Why?"
I need to rewatch it.
Well, and
I think it's
that's
kind of
the thing.
overrated, to be honest. Though
It is overrated.
I do
isn't it?
feel that way personally.
Like I just like there are people that like it's like watching the Harry Potter films on like for Christmas. Like you know how they count the Harry Potter they count that for Christmas. I'm just like,
haven't watched.
why
those
is this there? I was like,
but
replace with Die Hard because clearly Die Hard's a Christmas movie.
it's a
everybody
Christmas
wants.
movie.
But you know, I'm simply over here like Nightmare Before Christmas. Like I get it. I guess playing it between Halloween and Christmas makes sense because again, it's built around that. But like to have it on as much as it is on public television, I don't know.
For Nightmare Before Christmas.
It's just to me. I mean, again, I will say this again, reiterate it. Respect to the people in which you stop motion, but to me,
Right.
it's like watching the old Alice in Wonderland movie, where if you remember the cartoon Alice in Wonderland,
Yeah.
I was scared to death as a kid of that film.
Like the cartoon one, right?
Yeah, the
Just
cartoon
solely,
one.
yeah.
It was freaky. Like I just
There
there was
is,
something
truthfully.
about it.
It is.
The Johnny Depp version, which I thought would be, you know, the live action, I was like, oh, I do want to see this because like the old one gave me nightmares as a kid. But I was like, even the Johnny Depp version is like, as messed up as it is, and like you know, like really going outside the box. That one to me was a lot more family friendlier than the
Really?
than the cartoon one.
That's an interesting take on that because I actually have an aunt who would not let my cousin watch it until he was like a certain age because I don't know what she saw in it, but I remember we were talking about the one time, and I was like 16 at the time, so like she's like, yeah, I'm not letting him watch it until he hits a certain age because it's definitely not a kid movie. And I'm like, yeah, there's definitely some weird things going on in there, and there's definitely some background things that if you pick up on it, you're like, whoa. And I respected that, like, a thought behind it. Like, it wasn't overprotective. It was just kind of a, you know, I don't think he's ready for it yet. And, like, granted, the cousin I'm talking about, I'll leave him unnamed because he would get upset. But realistically, he wouldn't get upset. He'd get a kick out of it. But I'm going to leave him unnamed. But he is a kind of a scaredy cat when it comes to movies. Like, he's also was the kid that we were watching a movie where someone accidentally got shot, and he was looking down the whole time on his iPad and then looked up as someone got shot and started crying and freaking out. And he was, like, 10, I think, at the time, roughly, close to it. So,
See, I'm used to growing up with the old cheesy sci-fi channel movies. So as a kid, you know, say it was like the weekend or whatever, and I didn't have to sleep in my own bed, and I got to sleep on the couch in the basement or whatever. I'd just be like, there's a TV down there, and it's just as simple as like, hey, I'm going to watch the Sci-Fi Channel. Because if you watched any of those Sci-Fi Channel original series and like movies from back in the day, were you ever a fan of the Sci-Fi Channel movies?
Can you name one? Because I don't even know.
It's not associated, but I'll give you like, it's like the Sharknado movies. That's how they turn out.
Oh, those cheesy
They are
ones.
cheesy. Like,
Okay, my brother loves those.
I remember waking up in the middle of the night the one night, and this is gonna get off topic now.
So you're just talking about like, those kind of like the low budget movies that are just
yes, they're just like throwaway. They're like, oh, this is a great.
Just
There was like I forget what it was. I woke up in the middle of the night. It was like 3:00 in the morning, and I'm watching this TV, and on TV it's these pedestrians running away from something. I didn't know what it was at first. And this lady jumps in her car, tries to start the car, it's not working or whatever. I just see this alligator. It was like about a giant size alligator. Just goes up to the car, just jumps off screen, and lands on the car, flattens it, and then just walks away. I'm like,
that's how it works.
But I'm just like,
pancake.
Yeah, but even they were less freakier than what the cartoon version of Alice in Wonderland is, or, getting back to the conversation, in my personal opinion, Nightmare Before Christmas.
I think with that movie, so like I really do. I went to high school with people who were just obsessed with it, and like there's a certain kind of person out there that
they got like book bags and backpacks and stuff.
Yes, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this. I think there's.
It's not. It's your own thing, so I shouldn't call it weird.
No, it's weird in the sense of like, why did it catch on this far? Like how and why did this become so big? But like it's one of those things you don't realize. Like that's because people our age grew up with that, and it's like that's what it carried on through, and it makes sense, and I get it. But it's just like, it's weird for us because it's like we didn't like again. Was that something I missed? It's like I said in the last episode. Was that a joke I missed? Like it went over my head. Like it's bigger than I thought it was, and that's in regards to what was even that we talked about last time that I was saying that about?
Was it Barbie?
Was it Barbie?
Was it the marketing strategy of Barbie?
No, I was
like
saying.
Who is this marketed towards? I know we talked.
No,
about
I was saying that about like I thought it was a joke. Oh, Peaches.
Peaches. Yes.
Like that. Like again, that like I didn't think it was that funny, but apparently people love it to death, and I'm just like, sorry, didn't know. It's same thing. Sorry, didn't know. I grew up watching that movie and Coraline, and what is it called? Corpse's Bride, which I need to rewatch that one because at this point I used to watch my PSP, which is really cool. They had those like little movies, but at this point I vaguely remember that movie like at all. Like I remember Jack Skellington more than I remember like everything about him than that movie. That movie I don't remember anything about it. So
if you really want to show our age a little bit right now for the audience, whether you're older or younger listening to us, I was listening to a podcast the other day.
Oh boy!
And they had been talking about like, it's cool to look at the analytics, like so on Spotify, like it gives us analytics to show like how many people download on Spotify. If we go to like Apple Podcast, we can see how many people download on that specific platform and Amazon Music and stuff. So they went through the analytics department and they're like, okay, where do we get the most views from? You get it from YouTube, you get it from like tablets, from TVs and stuff like that. They had one interesting viewership. Somebody watched it on the Wii.
Just one person? One
person in their demographic was watching it on the Wii.
That's amazing. Keeping it alive.
Shout out to that person and they made a comment. They're like, it's probably they apologize because the Wii wasn't really built for like the internet to withstand.
No, they all came out. That came after.
They're like, it's probably pixelated right now, and you're probably about 3 hours behind. But hey, thank you for watching.
Yeah,
type thing. So I thought that was fascinating. So dating ourselves a little bit back in the era of the Wii.
Yeah, Wii.
It's still good to see that people are watching still internet content.
Okay, well, now we have to do like a little side note here. So, side tangent. Do you remember when they had Netflix for the Wii? And they would.
Oh yeah, I remember the graphic.
But it was 480p, so that's all the maximum output it had. Everything else was doing HD, and it's just like you put it in the Wii, you watch it. And it's just like the disc. They used physical. That's back when Netflix did physical for the longest time. And it was like, and I remember when they phased it all away because they don't even do it now. I don't think at all, unless you buy the outright.
And I still believe the time period in which this existed, Blockbuster was still around as well.
During that time frame, because they were like in their technically they're still around.
Was Redbox around? I don't know where Redbox came in. That is the only one I don't know where that showed up. It showed up in the local Giant Market. Which was fascinating because our local Giant Market was also next to a Blockbuster for the longest time. So there was Redbox and the Giant, and then there was like Blockbuster you could go across.
I always thought this is how it played out. Okay, Blockbuster was like the guy you go to, right? Netflix went to him and said, yo, man, I got this great idea. And then Blockbuster said, what a loser. And then Netflix is like, oh, you just made a new enemy right here. So it went ahead and did their own thing. And then Blockbuster started losing business until they disappeared completely. And then, not completely, because there is still one around, if you did not know that.
Portland, I believe. Oregon, Portland,
yes. And they offered shelter. Yeah, they did a couple things. They still like a Twitter account or something. So like, feel free to check them out. But they're really funny. But basically, Blockbuster faded away, and then Netflix became a thing. But they did renting DVDs and everything like that. They did physical. Now they phased that away. So Redbox somehow they just took advantage of the physical location because when they phased, I think what happened is when Netflix phased that away, they were like, oh, we got to market now. And it made sense, and it still does to this day. They're going to exist forever because of that concept. But as far as the Wii goes, for the longest time ever, I don't think it's still a thing now, but I think like a couple years after they phased away the physical copies of like Netflix movies and rentals and everything, I think the Wii was still going strong because that's all the Wii could really do. I mean, it had the app, I think, eventually, but most of the people would just throw it into the Wii, I think, and that's just how it was for a while. Now it's a different story. Now it's kind of like phased away completely. But do you remember like those little like, they even send you like a case. It was just like a little sleeve that you put your...
And I remember that as well as, and again, I do remember the day because I have plenty of these laying around, when they used to do movie discs. Now, granted, they were like the cheaper ones. Maybe they failed out of the... Maybe this is what Marvel should do, by the way. When I'm not giving any strategy to Marvel, but remember when you used to buy cereal? Like, you'd have toys and cereal and so on. Maybe they still do.
Do you remember the lightsaber spoons?
Yes.
Were you going there?
Yes.
Oh,
no, I wasn't going there, but I do remember them, yes.
I love those. My friend and I loved them.
They used to have DVDs that they would put in the cereal boxes. Remember that?
Well, I don't remember that, but I remember they used to put video games in there, but that was like 90s, so...
I got like a cheesy, I think, Zac Efron movie from like...
You would like Zac Efron.
Of course. Who doesn't?
You know, he looks like a Giga Chad anymore. Like, he's... He does. He has the look. Is
this going along the lines of like back when you joined us during the Thor: Love and Thunder podcast? This is when you were like, Taylor Lautner looks like the A. Taylor Lautner from back then. Remember like the fat Taylor Lautner joke you made?
I don't remember the joke, but yeah. Wait, what did I say? What did I say?
Fat Taylor, not Lautner. You're bashing the man for me.
He Taylor Lautner. What?
He did get himself in better shape now, though. I mean,
he is. He got himself. I saw a recent interview. He's killing it. He's doing great.
He looks like he did back in the Twilight days, man. He's doing good.
When I say Taylor, when I say current Taylor Lautner ate old or young Taylor Lautner, he just ate himself. That's
yeah. And then I was like, we're not gonna. No, we shouldn't be picking on weight. And you stared at him and like he's fat. Okay.
You heard it here first, folks. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. Oh, geez, but no. Like I said, maybe the marketing.
You gotta leave that in there, by the way.
Maybe the marketing strategy for Disney is leaving them in the cereal boxes. Like say, hey, Secret Invasion's not too good. Like, maybe we're just going to put out a DVD with, like, all 8 episodes of Millionaire Ticket in the child's cereal box. Speaking of which, maybe they had this thing, but you know what? You know what changed over time, Hummel, that I realized?
What's that?
I just don't eat cereal.
I mean, you know what's really weird that you said that? I've used cereal, and it took me until I hit, like, I would say college to realize this. So, like, let's say, like, 18, 19. Years of age, I view cereal as a dessert. And if you really think about it, unless it's a specific brand, it is. Like, it really is. And we eat that for breakfast. Like, what?
It could be breakfast, lunch, and dinner, by the way.
Yeah, it could. It's a weird one. But I love Frosted Flakes or, like, Cocoa Pebbles, like Flintstones. I love those so much. Oh, my gosh. But, like, they're the only two that I'll go to. But it really is, if you think about it, it's a dessert. And we just ate for breakfast for years.
I just haven't ate cereal in so long, it feels like.
Now you're going to crave it.
You're right, yes. I'm going to go searching for that toy left in the cereal box, whichever Kellogg.
Get the lightsaber spoons. The lightsaber spoons.
But is that a thing? Like, okay.
I don't know.
This is a serious question. I actually have no idea.
What?
Do they put, like, toys in the cereal boxes anymore?
I can't think of any, to be honest. I mean, they might. Honestly, can't think of any time that they have recently. But then again, I don't watch, like, TV or advertisements for that stuff anymore. I mean, you know how like they listen to us on our phones? Aliens. No, I'm kidding.
Bro, I don't even know who goes for McDonald's Happy Meal.
I actually did the one time.
Do you watch any kids walk out of McDonald's with a Happy Meal?
You know what's crazy?
This has gotten so far.
You know what? I know. You know what's crazy though? I actually owe a kid a Happy Meal. Okay.
You owe a kid a Happy Meal?
Yes, I do.
From when?
Like recent. Like it's like.
Oh, this is like a childhood friend.
No. As far as a month ago, I told the kid I was going to get him a Happy Meal. I completely forgot to get him a Happy Meal.
Well, that's what Make-A-Wish Foundation that never came true.
Oh my god. Going off the rails here. This is the title's gonna be off the rails. By the way,
that's golden.
by the way, you have to, because we made a reference to a different show. You're gonna have to clip that in or something.
Yeah, we'll have to.
From the Thor: Love and Thunder, because you just made a reference to something completely different.
We're just gonna watch it right here and get your reaction. No, but it just. Oh, jeez.
What? Listen, I was looking to keep it on one subject. You're the one.
I know, it's gone.
Last week it was me.
Stop motion animation, we had talked about that.
Right.
Isle of Dogs. was something that was promoted like years ago. I
saw
never saw
what?
that one. Ice of the Dogs. Remember that one? That was a stop motion.
No, I
animation.
don't know what you're talking about.
Was that Wes Anderson that did that? That was another stop
I
motion film.
couldn't tell you.
So I didn't know maybe that was something you were into.
I don't know. I never heard of it.
There is a film, and I know that you just talked about a film that's being re-released in theaters with Coraline.
Yeah, great movie.
So,
Seriously, it's
I'm going to say that there's a film coming out that I think we're both excited for. By the way,
Strays.
Strays looks so entertaining, and it's probably one of those things. So, to give reference, and maybe you have a different take on this, but of course I got to give my dad's take on this too because this was also fascinating. So, as a friend group, plus my dad because he decided to just tag along.
He's a dad friend.
We went to go see Cocaine Bear.
Yes, that was great.
So we saw the trailers for The Machine, which I
Right.
don't think anybody saw. Did you end up seeing it?
No, I wanted to. I completely forgot about though.
So then we had Cocaine Bear. Well, we were in there for Cocaine Bear. So we saw The Machine, and then we saw The Strays, and I think there was another thing. I think there was like an Italian.
I gotta remember.
They killed the peacock. That's all I remember.
Oh, I don't remember. I don't know what you're talking about. That.
So there was another trailer.
Oh, you mean
for
Up?
that.
I don't.
No. So when we were sitting there watching Cocaine Bear, okay, I'll start with my dad's take first when we got home from the theater. He was disappointed. Now, it was a rated R film, of course, which does.
He didn't like it?
No, he thought it was going to be a survival film.
What?
I know nothing from the marketing that he thought that film was going to be.
Cocaine Bear.
He thought Cocaine Bear was going to be like a survival film. Like, because me and him had saw the movie Beast a while ago.
Right.
Which is basically Jaws on steroids, but it's with a lion instead that goes and like ravages through a whole village and stuff.
Okay.
So I guess that's what he thought it was going to be. But I actually enjoyed Cocaine Bear. I think Mike and you both enjoyed Cocaine Bear.
I love that movie.
Okay, so do I. So
it was my movie of the year until Spider-Verse came out. So
my thing, well, that's saying something. So my thing is, by watching Strays, is it gonna be what Cocaine Bear lived up to, or is it gonna be like one of those other comedies where you saw the best things that happened in there, and then it's like a doll film?
No, so Cocaine Bear. Truthfully, it was kind of like again, if you watch Kangaroo Jack as a kid, which that movie it was trying to be a kid's movie, but it was really an adult film movie, and they tried hiding it, but because they wanted to make a profit. Cocaine Bear was kind of like that same vein, and that's why it kind of worked. Anyways, this Stray movie reminds me and gives me strong vibes of Good Boys. You ever watch that movie? Or
Yes.
I loved that movie. I've watched it twice. Oh my god, it's such a good one. But that movie, that to me, they're very like parallels, like already there. And it's like, I know it's like dogs and kids, but like it's just seriously, it's got a lot of good stuff going on there. And I think it's gonna be one of those movies where if you like that sort of thing and like this just stupidity, you're gonna love it. But if you watch it and you're like, wow, the whole talking dog thing got old really quick, and it's like, this sucks. Like I'm still, and I have half the movie to get through yet. Or some people like have that mentality of like, it's only been 20 minutes, I can't do this, and they sit through the whole thing and they hate it and they bash it. But
Well, this is the thing with comedy films per se. Like, again, they show you the best things to get you into the theaters, and then like you're already like, yeah, you're gonna laugh at some of the same jokes that you saw like multiple times on the trailers. But like I guess my concern is like I feel like this has potential to be a very, very bad film as well.
Strays.
Like, I think I'm gonna enjoy it, but it also has potential to be a very terrible film.
In what way?
Like, I think I could get to the theater and have seen everything that was in the trailers already, and that was it.
Okay, that's understandable. I was gonna say, because if you're talking like critically, I was gonna say, well, anything Will Ferrell's a part of usually is like that. So
Except for Kicking and Screaming.
I don't know what that one is.
That movie bombed, I think.
I have
I'll
no
have to go
idea.
back and check. I mean, it's not necessarily a bomb, it's just, I know that it did have good reviews.
Yeah.
I think he was like coach.
You know what's crazy is that Will Ferrell is like, what projects has he done in recent years outside of like the Lego Movie?
Well, can't you say
I guess
that?
that's not really recent.
Can't you say that about Jim Carrey though? Before he just gave up with Sonic.
Well, he's about to retire.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Like he's on the verge of it. I think he said he is.
Like before that, but Jim Carrey's had a. Okay, I'm not.
Well, he's earned it. He's at the point where he could if he wanted to.
Well,
Like,
here's
there's
the thing.
no one have an
Though.
issue with that.
I might be wrong because I don't know when Jim Carrey started acting, but I feel like Jim Carrey, as far as like his span of life, as far as like in the films themselves, where he can pick and choose, has been a longer lifespan in the film industry than what Will Ferrell's has been.
Well, I feel like Will Ferrell just kind of like fallen off. I feel like okay, you ever what would they make a sequel to? It wasn't Dumb and Dumber, was it? Or maybe it was, but they made a sequel and it was Jim Carrey was in it, and I remember my dad was saying at the time that like, do you think they made this because they're like, oh, we're gonna get too old. It's either now or never kind of moment, and they decided to make it, and it was just kind of like mediocre movie. I feel that way about like Will Ferrell's like kind of recent turn in movies, like Anchorman 2. I'm pretty sure I watched the first one. I could be wrong because I was as a kid, but that first one was funny in its own way, but the second one is like, why are they making this? Zoolander's another one. Zoolander 2. Like, why are they making this? Like, I feel like those, and that's that era of
Hollywood
it's like now
just
or
doesn't
never.
know what to do with because they don't ever come up with anything creative. So like, here we're just gonna go with what worked from
Why do you
generations
think?
ago.
Why do you think I brought up Leica, the studio's Leica that made Coraline? Because I don't know how true this is, but apparently they have a no sequel rule, and I mean it kind of shows because they did Paranorman, Coraline, they did Kuo 2 Strings, which is a more recent one, and they did The Missing Link, which was 2019, and then they have a couple more coming out, and I think I missed like 2 in there.
I do appreciate that, the no sequel rule though.
I don't know how true that is. I was hoping that article I pulled up would actually explain that, but I really don't know. It sounds like that's the truth in the case because they totally could. Like with Coraline, again, I know that was based off of a book and there's a lot to unpack there, but like you could just make a movie based upon like some of the mysterious elements in there, like a side story or a prequel. Like seriously, like that, there's a lot you could do there, but like they're not looking to explore that. No one else really is, so leave it be.
No, I completely understand, and that's one of the things too. And we could go off on a tangent again, but we did on the last
Well, I
episode.
just segued us back there. So.
I know of like Indiana Jones because you're like, well, Will Ferrell, are we just making this because we don't have?
Yeah, like it's either now or never. Like
Jim Carrey, are we? That doesn't mean that you make it though. What I appreciate though is when Tom Cruise just made Top Gun Maverick, they didn't have to make it. Their goal didn't seem like it was just to make money off it because I don't think they expected it to be as big as what it was.
Was there a reason for them making that? Like outside of money, obviously. Like, was there?
No. So
like, is it's now or never kind of?
I wouldn't say it's now or never. I think the technology was there to do it because, like, and again, not saying they didn't have nice flying shots in the first Top Gun or whatever, and not saying it's really a different story because there are. It's kind of like what did George Lucas always say with Star Wars? It's kind of like it rhymes. So everything that like, Anakin would do, you would see Luke do. Like like it'd always be like kind of repetition in story. So Top Gun, if you watch the first one compared to the second one, it's very very similar.
Right.
As far as like to a T, it's very similar. I think technology and a lot of the shots that they open up with are pretty cool, especially when you go on the air base and like the aircraft carrier and stuff like that, and the battle scenes and tactics.
My friend told me the second one's better than the first one.
Oh, I completely agree.
What? Really? Okay.
Yes.
See, I haven't watched the second one yet. Now I've heard that twice.
And that's something that I believe stands true because
of the advancements?
You don't want to give it always to visual, but it is visual storytelling at this point in time. That made that film a lot better.
Okay, so more believable and realistic, or in the sense of
no, it's just cooler to watch.
Yeah, just more entertaining.
Yeah.
So they made a sequel instead of just doing a remake, and it succeeded.
Yeah.
Tremendously.
And I had to look. I don't know the box office per se from the first Top Gun Maverick to this, or from the first Top Gun to the second Top Gun.
Inflation.
Like I don't know. I can't even tell you if it was a big hit in theaters. I know that a lot of people talked about Top Gun when it came out. There was a whole generation that was captivated. My dad remembers it in theaters and stuff like that too. So, like, it clearly brought back, and this is coming off COVID, where it brought back that crowd of people that were kind of scared to come.
And I remember you saying that originally, like that crowd that people like, that isn't the Marvel crowd, that isn't the I guess superhero in general crowd, that isn't the horror movie crowd. It's just like that crowd of like, what would you say, like, generation wise?
Yeah, it's another generational nostalgia.
Like I would say, like Boomer to Generation X, like.
I say it captivated everything from the 70s to 90s, really, for that.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair to say. And it's like, honestly, yeah, it appealed to them. And it's like, but it appeals to other people, too.
And what I will say now, it kind of stood true until Barbie. Again, I'm going to go see Barbie.
Hey, Barbie.
So I can't say, I've heard a lot of bad reviews about it. I understand things that are going to behind the scenes with politics and stuff. But the 3 films, which have been the highest grossing the $1 billion marks right now, there's a reason why they're the billion. You had Top Gun Maverick. You had Avatar: Way of Water, which obviously went to $2 billion. And then you had Mario leading up to this. It's because those were family-friendly and all about family-type films. And I said that
stronger than family.
No, well, I mean, yeah. Well, Fast and Furious didn't equate the money that they thought it was going to.
That franchise should have died.
But those are 3 films. Again, I'm excluding Barbie right now until I see it and get an honest review. But those are 3 films. The last 3 films that made $1 billion or more dollars. Is because it feels like people aren't going back for the reboots, not going back for all this stuff like that. They're going back simply to watch good, family-friendly content.
Right. Now tell me about the Meg, too. Why is that a sequel? Why should that be a thing? Justify it now. You have 10 seconds. 10, 9,
Why
8,
shouldn't that be a thing?
7, 6, 5.
Well, they could have actually
3,
stopped.
2. You did stop.
No, they could have actually stopped at the Meg, and I honestly want to see only because it's something like, what do I want to say? It's almost like a Cocaine Bear to me. That it's going to be so off the top,
like that, like raunchy kind of just
and the thing
fun.
is, I don't think they. Well, I think the budget's so low that they really don't even they don't expect to make a lot anyway. Because I don't think the first movie was shot on that big of a budget.
I actually have no idea.
So it's just one of those things like, okay, studios are willing to pump out like that kind of like Sharknado, like how we talked about this earlier, like sci-fi stuff. Like they're willing to pump that stuff out because they're not putting a lot of money into it. And they're like, okay,
low effort movies, That's
but why isn't the whole studio setting like that? Like, why can't we be putting out more content and stuff like that for cheaper prices? Instead, all these other films that came out recently are like upper echelon, $300+ million productions. Like, it's just crazy. But I know that we covered that, so we're not gonna go back to that necessarily. But to me, that's just crazy. But The Meg 2, you're right, that's one of those that didn't need sequels. But I am probably gonna go see it.
It's funny because there's actually like a lot. Like this summer has been a really good summer for movies, like a really good one, and like. I can't think of it, and I might have said this in the last episode, and I do apologize, but like I can't think of a summer where the movies were this level across the board. Because if you look at it this way, what's in your mind? What is the worst movie in your opinion, solely your opinion, that just came out this past summer, from May to we'll just say August, May to August?
The worst movie that came out that I saw in theaters.
You don't have to see it, like the one you just think. Period.
Oh, the one I think is gonna be, I would say Indiana Jones. It has to be Indy, right? The one that I care about, at least, right? Like,
yeah, I know.
Has to be
whatever one you look at and you say that one is by far the worst. I am surprised it even is in theaters this long.
I mean, Indy's fresh on the mind, but I feel like there was one before Indy that I'm missing that I did random out on the channel.
Probably was one, honestly, but I can't think of anything when it comes to mind.
Like, I can't remember who lost. It had to be a Marvel production, right? What Marvel production?
Guardians of the Galaxy 3 came out in May.
No,
that was good. I was gonna say Nolan wanted to throw that under the bus.
Ant-Man lost money.
Ant-Man.
But that was more of a disappointment more than it was.
That was February. I'm talking about summer though, solely summer.
Yeah.
I was gonna say
it has to be Indy then.
When you narrow it down, because I will say Indiana Jones is fair game. It's either Indiana Jones or the Meg 2. But like, if you get entertainment out, like the Meg 2 is gonna be a fun movie to watch. Regardless.
Well, the thing is, like, what's disappointing? Because like, if you go to, it's like Battleship. You ever watch the movie Battleship?
No, I know you always say this is your go-to.
No, it is because I was like, Battleship is a terrible film from as far as.
But it's a fun watch.
But it's a fun watch,
and that's what makes it okay.
Exactly,
and it succeeds. That's where it succeeds. Where it fails, it's over there. But where it succeeds,
so
it's
like
up here.
Disappointment. I can't say the Meg because I'm looking forward to it. Now, when I watch it, and if it's bad or like worse than what I thought it would be, then I guess it'd be disappointing. But right now, from a box office standard and from everything else around it that should be hyped up, that's not.
Right.
The Meg is performing like the Meg was supposed to perform.
Right. But like I would say that's one of those movies.
Indy's the one that like needed the $900 million.
Right. But like this is like one of those. Okay, so this is how I put it. The Meg is one of those movies where I'd say, why is this being made? But like if I watch the first and second one, or I could just go in there watching the second one, not care about context, and I'd probably come out and say that was a fun watch or that was entertaining and be satisfied. I think we could say that about like that bare minimum, like that is the lowest like bar. Even Indiana Jones. I mean, that's I guess honestly, that is probably the worst one, and that is probably the biggest disappointment. The more I think about it, but we could still go in there and say this was still entertaining to watch. It succeeded. Like I'm not gonna walk out of the theater and saying that was a waste of my time and money. I want a refund. You know?
Yeah.
I guess a movie that would make you do that. Like Indiana Jones probably. Now the more I think about it. It probably is that.
In the fall and winter, I could tell you coming up, and I know that we're going to wrap this up here quick, but I know that in the fall and winter, there's two films that I'm going to be disappointed if they don't actually do.
Okay, hold on real quick, because I got to make sure I say this. The point of that whole segue right there was because it was still entertaining this summer, very entertaining. Even if you were not a fan of Dial of Destiny, that was still, like, you were still excited to watch an Indiana Jones movie.
But okay, so I think I'm going to take a different route when I think of excitement. The excitement was obviously Barbenheimer.
That was the pedestal, yeah.
But let me just say this. Have we ever had a summer within the last recent years? Maybe we have. They're just like lower and more as hyped up and stuff like that. Let's even go back for this full year so far because I thought we've had a lot of good slates of films. I've seen more films in theaters this year than I had the last 2 years. Because I went for like 3 straight weeks. I was like Mario movie. I was like the 65 movie with Adam Driver and the dinosaurs.
Which I thought When did that come out, by the way?
Oh, that was like February, March, or something like that. Because then we
Okay,
saw,
I know that-
Cocaine Bear and stuff. So there was like 3 straight weeks I was.
Okay, so you were like Cocaine Bear 65
Yeah.
and then Mario.
Mario.
Gotcha.
And I said in that stretch, I believe I gave it the review on the channel. I was like, I saw like a 70, an 80, and then a 90 as far as like films, like out of 100 scale base. I was like, it was amazing how. But the thing is, getting back to the point was, I don't remember. Maybe it's just like because like each year is like a new, fresh, and we're reflecting on it now.
Right.
But when you have things like Cocaine Bear pop up, when you have things like Mario pop up, when you have things like Oppenheimer, and Barbie is very much similar to Mario, just in the sense of like, you know, they're bringing character from like whether it was game or like doll.
Right.
to life.
It's colorful.
But the variety that people had to choose from.
This
Like,
summer alone.
Yeah, no, but even throughout the year, like Cocaine Bear. Like I'm just like
No, right. This has been a really good year for movies.
It's been a good year because of variety,
And you can sit here and say that the flops.
including Insidious Red Door. But you did.
I need to watch that movie so bad. It's gonna leave theaters before I get to it. It's awful.
Oh, it's gone already.
Are you serious?
Yeah. It was like 2 months ago or 3 months ago.
Was it really?
Yeah. That's why I was like, it's gone already.
I just saw like a preview for it the other day. That's what made me think of it. That's crazy.
We'll
I'm
watch
upset. I'm upset. No, seriously, because I can go off on a tangent. I'll hold off on that. So, because I want to keep this brief because I'm sure we're at the end here. So, what I was just about to say is probably gone and left my mind because of that. No, I mean, everything's been entertaining for this year. It's been a really good movie year. I would say that the bottom of the barrel movies, and I'm going to say Ant-Man, okay? That's the same old. We've had enough of this. We've seen enough of this. It's old, okay? Goodbye. Like, we don't want to deal with that. We want good stuff. Okay, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, special case. Why? Because we had 1 and 2, and we thought we were robbed of the third one, and then we got it. We're like, oh my god! Like, and it's good. And people say it's arguably the best.
Well, James Gunn was robbed, but that's
It is. But anyways, like, as far as this like year goes so far, it's really good. And like this summer alone though is like insanity how good it is. Like it's seriously. I mean, like what I don't know what's left in August yet. All I know is that Strays and I there's probably something else I'm missing there that's major.
Yeah,
but
well,
like
the two I'm looking forward to are the Expendables towards the end of the year.
The Expendables.
Yeah, the Expendables is like Schwarzenegger and Stallone and stuff like that.
Is
like,
there another one coming out?
Yeah. So it's bringing back the
that's a
like,
franchise.
it's bringing back like the old 80s,
No.
90s action stars.
No, that's a franchise that they're making while we can. That is definitely a franchise.
Yeah, but
the first one was
people are going to
understandable.
forgive them though for that. Like,
No, the
because
first like the
yeah.
first like 1 and 2 were like it makes sense, but like that franchise alone has turned into that.
No, I agree. So again, we're gonna wrap it up here real quick. But the Expendables is on my list, and then the Hunger Games movie come out at the end because
It comes out this year.
It comes out in November.
I haven't even seen anything
So
on that at all.
if they disappoint there,
Why? Like it just came. That was 10 years ago. Like that.
it's probably less. Has it been 10 years?
It's
Maybe
been,
it has been.
It's been less technically, or no, it's been 11 now.
Boy, time flies.
No, but it's only like a decade. Like that to me, it's too soon to make a reboot. But then again,
Well, it's not a reboot. I don't know. They're going back to like the 10th Hunger Games, so they're going back to tell the story of Snow.
Oh, it's a prequel.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm cool.
Me too.
Well, I was gonna say it's like with the Harry Potter reboot that they want to do. Like that baffles my mind because I'm like those movies are not that old. Like you shouldn't do that. Like that's like sacred stuff. Like you have it in so much different media right now, and you have it in at your parks. Like don't do it. Because like when the reboots come out, like what happens if they're not as good, or what if they're loved but like they're still that original crowd? Are you just gonna devastate the parks and remove that? Because that would be a sin. But that's a conversation for another time, and that's a great outro.
That is a great answer. Thank you guys for joining us on another Movie Mayhem. I'm Donnie Shields.
I'm Matt Hummel.
Catch you next time.